Good evening. It is 6 p.m., June 11th, 2025. Welcome to Hatch Valley Public Schools Board of Education. We're going to go ahead and start today's meeting with a roll call. Vice President Legarreta.
Present.
Member Garay. Member Marcus.
Here.
Secretary Montes.
Here.
And myself, present. Could everybody please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I salute the flag of the state of New Mexico, as the symbol of perfect friendship among united cultures. Okay. Item number 1 on our agenda tonight is the approval of the consent agenda. Secretary Montes, could you please read the items on the consent agenda?
Okay, A, approval of agenda, B, approval of minutes, regular board meeting for 5/14/25. Approval of May 2025 bills. And D, approval of budget adjustments, requests, transfers, cash requests, which include maintenance bars, 11,000, 24,101, 24,160, 26,107, 27,109, 27,552, 28,190, and increased bars. Revised Title 1, 24,101, Title 2, 24,154, Activity 23,000.
Thank you, Ms. Secretary Montes. Is there any discussion on any of the items? Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
It has been moved and seconded to approve this consent agenda. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Motion carries. Item number 2, Superintendent Report.
Yes, good evening. We're going to basically pull it up. I'll have the clicker so you can have to click for me. So today we're going to be going over the end of the year data and the different kinds of tools that we use for formative to monitor where we're going, if we need improvement. That's what the CS kind of already alluded to, the whole process of how they look at data and through the PLC process. And so we're going to be presenting at end of year, Q4, end of the year, which would include iStation for grades K to 2, Happy Numbers, K2, iReady 3.8, Achieve 3000, 612, Horizon 912, and the one summative data set that we have is the SAT for grade 11. All right, so we'll start off with Garfield, and what I've done with the iStation data is give you Q1 and then Q4. And so BOY versus BOY versus EOY. And so you'll see in this first is Garfield, it's kinder, and so you have iStation reading in English on the left-hand side and Spanish on the right-hand side. And so you can see, again, we're looking at the targets that we've been focused on this year is, what's going on with L1, the kids that are scoring the lowest, and then of course proficiency. And so level 4 and level 5. And so you can see that we've had some really big growth in kinder English alone. They went from 20% proficiency to 33% proficiency in Spanish. That one we had a little bit of a decrease, so we went from 66 to 40% proficiency. Okay.
What do you attribute to that, especially with the bilingual?
What I keep hearing is that the measure is different. And so for Spanish, it's a lot more rigorous than the English. And we do have Mr. Mesa here to talk to us. He's our assessment person. But that's what I keep hearing is that the vocabulary in the iStation Spanish is a lot more rigorous. And so it's hard to make a comparison because it's not apples to apples. Yes. What's that? Oh, turn. So. Okay, and then the next one is Kinder Garfield Happy Numbers, and what we're really liking with the data on this is that we don't have a lot going on with L1. And so that's really good news, but same thing here, we're looking at L3 and L4. So to go from 37% to, what is that, 90, almost 94%. Is that right? Wow, yeah, it is. Okay, so yeah, that's really big growth, Mr. Mesa, and so congratulations there with that happy numbers data. The next is iReady, and so you'll remember that in the spring we decided to assess iReady with the lower grades, so kinder, first, and second, so that we can really measure vertical alignment and what's going on between the different grade levels. And so we didn't have a consistent tool. So having iReady in there, now we can measure from kinder all the way to 8th grade. And so you'll only see two data sets there, Q3 and Q4. I believe Q3 was in March, Mr. Mesa? Yes, March. And then Q4 was in May. And so again, we're seeing some good growth there. What I really like, and you'll see this as we continue to move forward, and we pointed this out before, is there's no one in L1, and so we're really proud about that. And so on the left-hand side, you have the reading, on the right-hand side, you have math, and so you see that we've got some big growth going on, and this is assessment on the standards, on content standards. So where it's more than just the reading, it's actually aligned to the standards.
Hey, Mr. Childs, I have a question. That's only in English,
That is only
correct?
English.
So the kids in the bilingual or the Spanish, the L2 kids, they took this also, or?
That's correct. That's correct.
Wow.
Let's see here. We're in first grade. Again, because we don't have high number of English in first grade. We didn't list the data, and but we do have in Spanish, and so you can see big growth there in Spanish, and what we're seeing there. And so decrease in L1 like we'd like to see, an increase in L4 and L5. Okay. First grade happy numbers. Okay, again, we moved with a lot of movement from the left to the right, and so where we didn't have anybody in L4 with us by the end of the year, we had at least 36 in L4, 36%. So we're scoring really high. Our kids are doing really well. Now, what I'd like to point out with happy numbers, and I think Mr. Marcus, you had pointed this out before, is that the kids test in their language. So happy numbers does have the capability of math and Spanish, the assessment in Spanish. Okay, first grade. Okay, not as much growth in the in first grade in iReady. And so I know that's something that that Mr. Mess is looking at, but we're still at what is that, 21% proficiency in reading, and 36 in math. So not where we want to be, but definitely moving in that direction. Second grade, again, we don't have a lot of kids in second grade English, but in Spanish, we've got some big growth going on again. You can see from Q1 to Q4 in levels 4 and 5, you can see, well, you had a decrease in level 4, but I think it's kids that moved over to the right, they moved over to L5. And so they're scoring really well. It's very promising what we're seeing in the data. Okay. Second grade happy numbers. You can see those percentages and the growth that our kids experienced. So second grade iReady. Same thing, we're seeing growth. we dropped in L4 and math. But look at the growth that we had in L5. So I really think it's kids moving over to the right. Okay, so now we move on to Hatch Elementary, and here's Kinder. Big growth here, especially in L1. From 62% of kids starting the year at L1 to 9. That's really significant. And in L4 from 6% to, what is that, 69%? That's really big. That's really big growth. We don't see the same kind of growth in the Spanish, but again, I'm gonna say that some of the things that keep getting reported back is that the rigor in the Spanish assessment at Kinder is a lot more rigorous. And so you see some drops there, but we ended up at around 34%. Okay, happy numbers. You can see the big growth there also. So we're really proud about that. Okay, Kinder did really well there. Kinder iReady. We're scoring up in the 40s, and so doing really well. Again, I just want to point out that we don't have kids in L1, and according to the iReady assessment. There's first grade. iStation. Again, we're seeing some decreases in the Spanish and at first grade. And so those are some of the things that we're going to need to be focused on as we move into next year. First grade happy numbers. It's what, 93% proficient. Really big growth. First grade and iReady. Okay, we're seeing some movement. We'd like to see some bigger growth, but nonetheless, we're moving forward. Okay, not bad. Second grade iStation. An iStation reading. And second grade happy numbers. Second grade iReady, reading and math. Okay. Some growth. We've seen some growth there. Okay, and then we move over to Rio Grande. And so Rio Grande is just iReady data. And so you can see the big growth that I want to point out third grade. Because one of the things that we're really seeing is third grade just had some tremendous growth. Not sure exactly all the things that they did over at third grade. Mr. Casillas could stand for questions on that, but you can see where they went from 24% to 44% in reading, and in math from 4% to 32%. So really big. Would you like to speak to?
I don't have any questions.
Sorry?
I don't have any questions.
Oh. Okay, all right. Let's move on to fourth grade. Okay. Same kind of growth, especially in math. And one of the things that, in talking to the principals about these scores, we did see some increases in our math scores. And one of the things that they attribute that to is the professional development that we had this year with math. And we had K-12 training all across the district in math. And one of the requests that they have is that we continue that for next year so that we continue to just move forward with that. So this is a good example of, fourth grade math. You look at those numbers, look at those jumps. So very good in fifth grade. Okay, not so much in fifth grade, but what I'd like to point out is L1. Look at the drop in L1. And so we're moving kids. They're moving to the right. Okay. This is middle school. I think I shared this last time, but I didn't have all the data all the way to May. And so this is how they ended up. So blue is on the bottom, and then 7th is orange, 8th is the gray line, and then the total for the school is yellow. And so one of the things that we've been able to track over the years is a direct correlation between Lexile levels and proficiency on reading, on the summative reading exams. And so that's something that we're monitoring. Eighth grade, scored the highest at they ended as with an average of 866. And again, that's an average. So we've got some kids that are scoring way above 800, which is really good.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
I've been looking at my school data and I'm looking at this school data. For Amber, really, are you seeing in your discipline in October, are you guys seeing an increase in discipline issues in October? I'm wondering because I see kind of the dip in my data in October
October.
where we have discipline issues that are kind of increasing,
Yeah.
and I'm seeing the same dip here with the middle school.
Yes, you're right. There's in October. Yep. Okay, there's sixth grade I-Ready. I think they're moving along. Seventh grade. And eighth grade.
Mr. Travis, are they getting the same kind of PD for math, the middle school? Because those.
It's different. It's different.
But
So
it's PD, right?
it's
They're getting
PD,
some
yes.
kind of PD,
So
but
what we did is we had two trainers. And what we did is we split it up between elementary and secondary. So they had a little bit different target. So where the elementary trainer really worked with implementation of the math curriculum. Whereas secondary, because we got two different curriculums and different things going on, they really focused on other things. So like things like number talks and strategies and that sort of thing. And so it's a little bit different. Okay. This is high school. And I think last time I was also talking about high school and one of the things that I asked Miss Holguin is, God, it seemed like January came along and they just skyrocketed. I mean, they've had growth over the course of the year, but it seems like January came and they really took off. And I don't know. Oh, you are here. I was hoping you made it. But I think if I remember correctly, she said that teachers were provided incentives, for kids to do better, and that seemed to have worked. I said, God, well, whatever it takes, right, to get the kids to do better. But those are tremendous scores there at the at the very top. Everything over 1,000, and then that's 10, 11, and 12. That's again, these are average. So, we've got some kids that are scoring way above that. Of course, we've got some kids that are scoring below it. But I think it's an indication of how well the kids are doing as a whole, how well they're doing. So they're doing really, really well. And we'll see some of that in some of the data here. So this is Horizon data. This is reading and writing and the different levels. And you can see the growth that they had. And of course, this is the kind of step down that we want to see in level 1. And we want to see a gradual increase in level 3 and level 4. And that's what we're seeing here. So again, that correlation between Lexile scores and what goes on with the formative and summative assessments. And we'll get to the summative here in a second. All right, if we move on. This is math. We're not seeing the same kind of growth in math, but we're moving. Okay, and we're stepping down in level 1 and we're moving kids over to the right. It's something that our math department continues to work at. We've had one of the reports that I received just this week was how the math teachers are really, really working hard to make sure that they're in alignment with the standards and they're teaching, what the kids need to know. And so I think that was an example of that was last month when we talked about, when we had that discussion about Algebra 2 and making that a graduation requirement. Okay. And here's the 11th grade. I pulled out just 11th grade because that's where the SAT falls, right? And so you see in reading and writing, L3 and L4, we've got some big growth going on there, especially in L3, and some movement over to L4. And in math, same sort of thing. And then these are the SAT scores. And so what we have here is 3 years of data. Okay, because one of the things that we want to measure is, when we talk about systems improvement, is, are we improving over time? And so next month, I'm hoping if we'll have the data that's not embargoed, maybe I can show the same thing, but it'll be in this type of format where I'm presenting 3 years of data. Okay, so that you can see, how are we doing? Are we doing good over time or not? And I think this is a really good example of a school that has a strong system. Because over time, they're improving. So in 23, they went from 11% proficiency to 24, they had 17, and 25, they had 30%. So that's where they landed this year, is at 30% proficiency. That's a big increase from 17. They almost doubled the proficiency rate. So lot to celebrate at the high school and what you guys are doing over there. Thanks, Matt. Okay. Not the same kind of growth, but in 23, we had 2%, 24, 1, and then 25, 8. And so again, it's the professional development, it's the teachers working together, it's having those PLC conversations on what's working and how are we measuring if what we're doing is working. And that's it. Of course, all the principals are here, so they're here to stand for questions. If you have any questions, I know that they will do their best to answer your questions.
One of you guys make you red enchiladas.
Hey.
No? That's my question.
I have a question on the math. Why is there such a gap? Is it the different maths that we're teaching throughout the grades and then, or shouldn't, I guess that's my question, is why is it so low on the math?
Good evening, everyone. Sorry, my voice is going. When we dig deep and we do the diagnostic testing, a lot of our kids are scoring in the middle school range. So to catch them up, it's just taking us a little bit longer.
I want to also say that, I keep bringing this up and as I talk to superintendents around the state, one of the things that we can never forget is the impact that COVID had. And while all districts took a setback, ours really took a big setback in COVID. And I'm thinking, and of course I don't have any hard data to this, but just in talking to people, I think communities that had a lot of at-risk students, and we certainly have a lot in our district, and poverty and language and that sort of thing, they were affected more. And Isaac, if we can go back, I'd like to point out something. Go back to the slides. Because we kind of talked a little bit about third grade, okay, and the jump that they had in third grade. And if you look at the K through 3, we had good growth, we had good data, okay. Well, that was the cutoff right there, third grade. Those are your pre-COVID kids, and from 4th on, those were the kids that were already in school when COVID hit. And so we're going to continue to see that. We're going to continue to see that these kids have gaps. And while our teachers are working really, really hard, it's taken some time for us to get there. And so keep going, Isaac.
I have a question about the block scheduling, for example. So for math, you guys have
Right
block scheduling, or do they have that same course for the whole year, or how does that work?
This year changed. We have like a hybrid schedule, we call it, because the math department, before we did have block scheduling. And the math department asked if they could see their kids more often, because having that those 2 days off a week, or whatever it was, they felt like they were playing catch up.
Right.
More than getting done what they needed to get done. So now we have all 7 periods, Monday, Tuesday, and Friday, and Wednesday and Thursday are our block days. Because we also have our CTE classes that are more hands-on, that need that big block of time, and our science courses too, that need that time to get their labs in.
I'm
So
just
that was
thinking
kind
if we keep doing the same thing with math, I mean, because really, even those 2 days to sit there for 90 minutes or whatever it is, and the teacher has to be very strategic and teach bell to bell, and even after 55 minutes, I'm I mean, the learning just kind of stopped, and math is so. I just think that, I don't know if that would help, if it was them at every single day and it was for a shorter period, but you had a whole year to learn algebra 2 or algebra 1. Instead of trying to rush through it.
They did have for all year. So they had
Okay.
8 courses in-
Okay. Okay, so they still had it.
So this was kind of a in between, right?
Okay.
You know, in between with a 7-period day versus a block schedule day. Because what we don't want to do is take away time from the classes that really need it, like our CTE classes,
Yes.
like our lab
Mhm.
classes. And so this is kind of the best of both worlds. And so the teachers, correct me if I'm wrong, teachers see their kids at least 4 days out of the week.
And
Okay.
how many minutes is each period, for example?
When we're on our 7th grade day, they're about an hour, almost 56
56 minutes?
And then on a block schedule day, they're about 93 minutes.
And Brian, were you able to return your math staff this year after the was school year, or did anybody leave us?
We lost one. We're
One.
replacing them though with one from middle school, so
But at the high school level, we're keeping everybody
except for one.
except for one.
There any further questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to item number 3, limited public comment. Do we have any public comment, Elsa? Okay. Seeing none, item number 4, unfinished business. Consider approval of student travel at 2:30 a.m. on June 24th, 2025 for trio, and the flight leaves at 5:30 a.m.
So you all approved the trip, but what was brought to our attention is that they're leaving at 2:30 in the morning. And in our policy, it directly states that we need board approval to be able to leave that early.
Wow.
Yes.
It's not 3 hours.
Oh, it's Educators Rising. I'm sorry.
Bed rising, okay.
Ed Rising.
Do we have a motion? Do we have questions, concerns, anything?
We don't want to miss their flight.
So moved.
Seconded.
Has moved in second to approve student travel at 2:30 a.m. on June 24th. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 That is
Motion carries.
lovely. Good luck.
There was an item on unfinished business we need to make sure we put on the next agenda, and it was we needed to have that. We were supposed to have a work session with the attorney about the graduation requirements. Just we need to make sure I don't forget that at the very end. Item number 5, new business. A, consider approval of the annual preventative maintenance plan.
Okay, we are at the end of the cycle where we have to update our the plans, and this one's the preventative maintenance plan, the PMP. And so this is again just a renewal to move forward with getting that done. And is Chris going to be here? No, okay. So we do have Sheila that is here, who works directly with Chris Aguilar that constructed him and his brother Paul constructed our last PNP. And so it's a rather smooth process, but it's in your packet.
Yeah, with Chris, the maintenance department met with Chris, went over the goals that we accomplished in last year, goals that we were setting for new year. So this just takes note of any changes that we.
Oh, there'll be any major changes?
No, I'm
Just,
just right here listed, I've just moved the goals from.
Yeah.
That are accomplished in the completed category, updated new employees. We had several changes, retirements. And,
just keep rolling up.
yep.
Any other questions? Do I have a motion?
So moved. Seconded.
Has been moved and seconded to approve the annual preventative maintenance plan. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Item B, consider approval of the Fine Arts Education Act 2025 through 2026 application.
The standard application, we have to apply for this every year. This does fund our arts programs in the elementary schools. And so my recommendation is for approval.
I make a motion to move forward with the application.
Second.
Has been moved and seconded. All those in favor of approval of the Fine Arts Education Act, please say aye.
I,
Aye. Motion carries. Item C, consider approval of the 2025-2026 agreement with local government road fund program.
And this is a grant program with the DOT, and every year we apply for this, and it helps us with our pavements or roads and any type of improvements. And so if you notice that the it wasn't redone, it was resurfaced at the top level of our parking lot in front of the auditorium. That'll be the same process for this, but we're going to be focusing on the parking lot just south of the high school. And so our pavement is, we've got to do something, and because it's starting to wear and tear, and this will give it new life and take us. I don't know, I don't know what the life expectancy of this is, but it's certainly a heck of a lot cheaper than doing it all over again. And so our share is 25,000 of this, but the total project is $103,000. So it's a great return for us. So my approval is for my recommendations for approval.
So moved.
Has been moved and seconded to approve the 2025-26 agreement with local government road fund program. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Item D, consider approval of the Idea B application, including assurances statement for 25-26.
Again, standard application that we have to submit every year. We do have Mr. Aaron Vogel that's with us online and to stand for any questions, but I don't think that there's anything out of the ordinary. It's just a continuation of applying for the grant.
Did we receive more or less money than last year?
Board President, it was a little bit less this year.
But let's see.
Are there any other questions? No? Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor of approval of the Idea B application, including the assurances statement for 25-26, please say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Consider approval of the SPED policies and procedures manual update through Walsh and Gallegos.
This is just the updates that we're doing to the policy and procedures manual that is provided through Welsh Gallegos. And we do subscribe to that. And it is what drives everything that Taryn does for the SPED department. So, Taryn, is there anything that's kind of sticks out?
Just know that if you have the link to the manual, some of the external links are not working because PED did update their website, and so the links are not currently working, but they are working on fixing those links so that it will be up to date.
Recommendations for approval?
Do I have a motion?
so moved.
Second.
Has been moved and seconded for approval of SPED policies and procedures manuals. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Item F, consider approval of the school year 25-26 MOU with the Village of Hatch as the fiscal agent.
And that's what you have here. It was something that was just passed out, so it's not part of your packet, but it is here. And as you know, we have a partnership with Casa Peregrino.
Yes.
Is that right? No, it didn't sound right. And the Village of Hatch and the schools to operate the food pantry. They do have a grant, a federal grant that they receive. And this is just the agreement between the three entities, but because we own the property, as they get moving forward to do the improvements to the food pantry and use that grant, it is the village that's going to be the fiscal agent. And so to stand for questions, Sheila, maybe you can go a little bit more about what that means.
There are two grants involved in the remodel of the building. One is through the state directly to the village, and one was directly to Casa de Pedregal. So we have state and federal funds. This is going to cover the portion that went to the village, just saying that we will provide our invoices to them, then they will pay us and submit to the state. And we did renew this, it's just an annual renewal, we did not get our project done before now, so we have.
We'll just put it out there. Pretty much hasn't been a lot of improvements to the building,
No,
not yet.
not yet, no. This is what's, you know, this will take care of that.
Do you all have a list of priorities for that area?
We do, we have a scope of work, an architect firm provided that for us, but it wasn't sufficient to actually get quotes from a contractor. So the contractors needed more information. In order to do that, again, there's two funding sources. The requirements from the USDA are much greater than the requirements from the state. And so we had to wait to spend the state money until the USDA funds were completely received. So we now have authority to spend down the USDA. We have to spend the state first. It's a very complicated process. USDA has to approve every invoice, whether we're paying for it through the state or through USDA. That's what's taken so long, was waiting on the USDA grant.
Okay. Thank you.
Do I have a motion for approval?
So moved. Seconded.
So it has been moved and seconded to consider adoption of the approval of the MOU with the Village of Hatch. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Item G for review. So we are not voting on this today. This is a first reading. Was there any questions about the first reading? I think this was the one with regalia for the
Yes.
Native American tribes.
Yes. And the second one was for a discipline regarding that.
Mhm.
Should say,
Anti-dis,
No,
no discipline form. My only question is, I'm not against anything like that, but has there been like consideration what happens when we have someone who's not in a tribe but claims they're in a tribe and wants to wear regalia that might be satanic, you know, something like that. Has there been a discussion at the state level with things like that?
not that I'm aware of, not that I'm aware of. This came about from the situation that happened, I believe it was in Farmington. And they refused to allow a Native American student to wear their regalia. And so, and I believe there was some type of discipline, so that's what this is addressing. And the way I read it is, I mean, there's got to have some type of tribal verification, and you know, they've got to be part of that, of Native American tribe. To be able to wear that. And so I don't know the details or the ins and outs of all that. I'm sure, you know, as we move forward, there'll be more and more that comes out from that. But to my knowledge, we've never, I don't know that we've ever had an issue, you know, with that. Now, the kids like to decorate their caps, but you know, we always have said, you know, as long as it's respectful, then we're good, you know, and
And
our
that's,
kids have been really good about that.
and that's in writing?
Sorry,
Is that in writing?
I don't know that it's in writing.
Maybe it'd be a good idea just to have it there.
Okay.
Consider it, yeah.
Yeah.
consider it. Yeah, cause I know
Dale.
some of them wear the Mexican, like the colors and.
Oh, no, like that,
No,
those-
it's nice.
yeah.
That's what I'm saying, but that needs to be somewhere, and I know we're not, you know. We allow that, you know what I mean, which is, we accept that diversity, you know what I mean, but I don't think it's in writing anywhere, but we just.
I don't know that we
accept
have anything in writing when
It
it
just-
comes to that, but you know, we've always have just been very accommodating, you know, because it is, and I think that's one of the things that I just really appreciate about Hatch Valley Public Schools is that we allow kids to show
Express-
like their
express
culture
themselves,
and where
yeah.
they come from. And so we've always been really respectful of that. And you're right, you know, there, some of them do have the sashes that represent, you know, the Mexican flag, but I've also seen some that have the Mexican flag and then the US flag, you know, because it just symbolizes who they are. And so, to my knowledge, we've never had a student that, you know, has pushed the limits with that.
Well, I was just kind of thinking in line with what Ray said, something satanic or something like that.
Something-
Something outrageous.
That,
Yeah,
yeah.
you know what I mean?
Think about that.
So, well,
I don't
Cause
think
those,
the
the kids have been doing great.
Oh, yeah.
no, yeah, the kids have been great.
Yeah,
Yeah,
And,
would be
you know,
breaking
not
up.
everybody allows that. And we still do. And so you know, again, it's, to me, I think it's important. I think it brings in like who they are and their identity in, you know, in that process. But that's definitely something that we can look at, in the future.
Item H, this is for review as well. And this is the policy model for anti-discrimination. This is a first reading. Anti-distraction, sorry.
Okay. This is, as you guys know, the legislation, the legislative session this year, there was a bill that was passed and signed into law that dealt with anti-distraction policy. So it has to do with cell phones or watches or, you know, anything that provides that kind of distraction. Over the last couple of years, we have kind of put our own little rules in there and some with success and some maybe not so much. And so this is actually going to help us because this is statute now.
Mhm.
It's not like a rule or it's not just a procedure now. This is actually statute and it'll be part of policy. And so this here is an example for us to consider. The policy service has not come up with something yet. And that's why we put this in here because we've got to get this in place before kids come back. And so, and we know that we had to do 2 readings. And so this was something for the board to consider for approval, so that we'll be ready, and when the kids come back in August. But it might be that the policy service comes up with something, you know, and it may be a little bit different, but we can always vote to accept that or keep this or whatever, but either way, we're covered. And I think that's the important thing. This was drafted by our legal counsel, Laura Castile. And it was just for that purpose because she felt like the policy service was probably not going to have something out for districts in time.
And Mr. Chavez, the instructional hours, I would like that more defined myself. I'm not sure what instructional hours are from 8 to 3. With lunch in between, or like what's the instructional hour?
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
the time of instruction. So it would be in alignment with what we submit to the state.
Okay,
Okay, so from bell to bell.
I know some districts are allowing during lunch and, you know, I mean,
Yeah.
certain. Or even during passing periods and so.
Well, and
yeah,
I think,
like-
I think what this says is during instruction time. So there are, you know, what we've had in the past has been a little bit flexible with the kids. You know, during lunchtime, maybe during passing periods, but that's something that you know, as we move forward with this, I think it's something that as we look at the handbooks, the student handbooks, that we need to define some of that, what that
Right.
looks like in each
Because a
of
lot of that bullying happens during lunch.
Yeah.
They have their phone gaming, a lot of that. So when I think of instructional time, I think like you from 8 to 3.
Okay.
I don't, I just would like a more clear definition, or as a board, we can define that with the help of Ms. Castillo.
Yeah, and this is the first reading,
Yeah.
so if you guys have recommendations, you know, it's something that, you know, we can present to Ms. Castillo and see, and because this is her draft and her,
Yes.
I don't think there'd be an issue with you know, making any type of revisions or recommendations.
Okay. Any other discussion on the item?
No.
Okay, item I, consider approval of the superintendent's salary for school year 25-26.
Just part of the procedure that does have to be a public announcement on the superintendent's salary. That always happens at this time of the month. What you have there is reflective of the 4% that was approved in statute for appropriation. And so that's what you see there.
Is there any discussion?
No,
Do we have a motion?
so moved.
Second,
It has been moved to approve the superintendent's salary for 25-26. I believe this would be a roll call vote. So Vice President Legarreta,
This is one's from the state, right? It's
yes.
already placed in.
Mhm.
Aye.
Member Garay,
yes.
Member Marcus.
Aye.
Secretary Montes,
Aye.
and myself, aye, motion carries. Item number 6, items for future meetings. That one, make sure we put the policy for graduation requirements in there. Are there any other items for future meetings?
Well, those second readings, right? 5G and 5E.
Yeah, those will be second readings in the next one. Anything
You
else?
said the work session, but they had emailed us a date.
Yeah, we couldn't get any of the dates to
Okay,
work for us at that time.
so we're still gonna work on that then?
Mhm.
Okay,
Item number 7, executive session. The board will go into executive session in accordance with section 10-15-2 NMSA 1978 of the Open Meetings Act to discuss limited personnel matters related to the superintendent's contract. No action will be taken until the board returns to open session. Do we have a motion to proceed?
So moved.
Seconded.
We will do a roll call vote. All those in favor of going into executive session, please answer with a yes or an aye. Vice President Legarreta,
Aye.
Member Garay,
yes.
Member Marcus.
Aye.
Secretary Montes.
Aye.
And myself, aye. We are now in executive session. We are now back in session. The board went into executive session in accordance with section 1015-2 and MSA 1978 of the Open Meetings Act to discuss limited personnel matters related to the superintendent's contract. Now that we are back in session, I would like to inform the public that based on the superintendent's contract ending in June of 2026, we would like to begin the process of moving forward with a superintendent search starting immediately. Do I have a motion to do this?
Second.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded to begin the process of starting a superintendent search, beginning immediately. We will do this through a roll call vote. Vice President Legareta,
Aye.
Member Garay,
Yes.
Member Marcus,
Aye.
Secretary Montes,
Aye.
and myself, President Gonzalez. Yes, motion carries. We will begin the process of a superintendent search. Are there any other items for future meetings? Before we are done.
President Gonzalez, were you gonna mention about CES? Is that what you?
Oh,
call it?
yes,
That
I am sorry.
Search would go through.
Do we have to mention what contractor we're gonna go through to look for?
No.
Or that's,
It's not
August.
biggest-
Is there only one?
okay. There's,
Is it only through CS?
There's, I believe CES, I believe NMSBA, I think there's several out there.
Oh,
Because we don't want to have to pay for one, right? We want to, because those are free, correct? Or
No.
no? you
No.
have to pay, yes.
you have to pay.
Oh, yeah.
All of them?
Oh,
Yeah.
I thought those were free ones. Well, the free one, that's what you had mentioned that. Oh,
Okay. Okay. Any other items? Anything that I forgot? Okay. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
so moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. We are now adjourned.